Hey guys, alright? Welcome everyone. The story begins when the space shuttle Atlantis is sent to repair a satellite. Dan Truman is supervising the mission from NASA's center in Houston. Concerned about the accelerated heartbeat of one of the astronauts, Truman warns him that there is plenty of time to do the job and says there is nothing to worry about. Unfortunately, he couldn't be more wrong. Both the satellite and the space shuttle are suddenly struck by something, and within seconds, the Atlantis is completely destroyed. In Houston, the screens go black and communication is abruptly interrupted. With no one able to explain what happened, the Pentagon is notified of a possible missile attack. In New York City, some people are watching the news on store window TVs when the screens start flickering. A fireball descends from the sky, creating a hole in the sidewalk, causing a taxi to flip over and causing massive destruction. In the following minutes, various other streets in the city are hit, devastating multiple landmarks. When NASA finally deciphers the mystery, Truman informs the authorities that a meteor shower destroyed the Atlantis before entering the Earth's atmosphere, hitting New York City. In a conference with the president, Truman reports a new problem. Scientists have discovered an asteroid the size of Texas, and it is still unknown whether it is on a collision course with our planet. When the president asks for an estimate of potential overall damage, the answer is terrifying. Regardless of where it impacts, the effect would be the complete destruction of all life. Just then, one of the astronomers bursts into the room to announce that the asteroid will hit the Earth in 18 days. Meanwhile, Harry Stamper is trying to hit a golf ball at the activists protesting outside his oil platform. His good mood disappears when he finds out that his daughter, Grace, is dating AJ, one of his employees. Harry grabs his gun and chases the future son-in-law around the platform, even grazing the boy's foot. Taking none of this seriously, Grace tells her father that he has no authority to tell her what to do after raising her in such environments. In Washington, scientist Ronald Quincy is explaining to General Kimsey that an external attack will be useless at this point. The only solution is to drill the asteroid to explode it from the inside. For this, the astronauts need to be trained by the world's leading drilling experts. As Truman is stating this, we see a day-to-day example on Harry's platform. Any mistake causes a chain reaction of malfunctions, bursts, and explosions. Although AJ has helped contain the crisis, Harry is still so angry that he decides to fire him. It is at this moment that the military helicopter arrives, and a general demands that Harry accompany him without asking questions. It takes him a few minutes to realize that this isn't a prank, and he then says he will only go if his daughter does too. When they both arrive at NASA, Truman explains the story from the beginning. It's all the fault of a rogue comet that triggered the meteor shower and altered the asteroid's course. Truman also warns that nothing will be disclosed to the public to avoid panic. After recovering from the terrible news, Harry asks what he is doing there. He then meets Quincy, who shows him NASA's drilling equipment. Recognizing his own inventions, Harry becomes furious to discover that the government has bypassed his patent and is now asking for his help. They want him to teach the crew how to use the drills, but Harry insists it's too complicated and there is no time to train them from scratch. Hearing this, Grace becomes nervous about the change of plans, as it is decided that Harry himself will go into space. He will also take his entire team, and the government's first obstacle is precisely finding them. Because they are the type of people who run away when the FBI arrives. The first member is Bear, who escapes on a motorcycle and needs to be chased down the road. Then, the agents have to explain to Max's mother that he is not going to jail again. Rockhound is flirting in the bar when the agent appears, and Oscar Choi is approached at his ranch in El Paso. Chick is the easiest to find since Harry even knows which table he is at in the casino. When it comes time to choose the last member, Harry reluctantly goes to talk to AJ. This bizarre group arrives at NASA headquarters bragging about being called for a secret mission. All this excitement goes out the window in the meeting room, where they are informed that the world is ending. Still, everyone agrees to participate, and Rockhound only asks about the danger pay. General Kimsey is stunned by the criminal records of the heroes that NASA has chosen to save the world. Harry only worsens the situation by bringing a list of demands, which includes a pardon for all fines, as well as never paying taxes again. The physical evaluation is a show in itself, and the doctors are horrified by the unhealthy lifestyle of the new team. The next part is with Colonel Willie Sharp, who will have only 12 days to transform them into astronauts. He introduces them to Freedom and Independence, the two space shuttles that will transport them. The ground vehicle, named Armadillo, is NASA's pride. To Quincy's despair, Harry dismantles everything right away and even complains about the quality of the parts. Then the training actually begins. Due to the fast pace and lack of experience, the simulations are brutal, and the team is practically turned inside out. Using a model, Truman explains the mission route. The rocket's first stop will be at the Russian space station, where cosmonaut Andropov will refuel the spacecraft. From there, it will take 60 hours to reach the asteroid. Each team will drill at a different point, and both need to reach 200 meters in depth to insert the bombs. They will be detonated remotely, before the asteroid crosses the zero barrier. The explosion will split it in half, but if this happens too late, the two halves will collide with the Earth anyway. When Harry catches AJ proposing to Grace, he becomes upset and vents to his colleagues. He had hoped his daughter would find someone with her potential, not a jerk like his father. Despite this issue, Harry chooses AJ to lead the Independence team. The friction between the two begins to become evident during an agility test. AJ sees Harry's advice as a threat to his authority and therefore makes a point of ignoring it. This stubbornness ends up jeopardizing the operation, and the test fails. AJ doesn't take responsibility and claims that NASA's computer made a mistake. Willie tells Harry that he can still replace AJ if necessary. But he decides to give him another chance, suspecting that stress is affecting the team. That's why he talks to Truman and asks for a break for everyone. The director finds it too risky, especially for secrecy reasons, but Harry clarifies that this is not a request. While AJ and Grace spend the day together, Chick takes his last chance to see the son he doesn't even know. The mother tells the boy that he is just a salesman and asks Chick not to show up there again, but she accepts to give the toy spacecraft as an anonymous gift. After making a monumental loan, Rockhound takes the guys to a nightclub to enjoy what could be their last party. They splurge so much money that it ends up causing jealousy and quickly leads to a fight. The whole group ends up in jail, and no one believes them when they say they are NASA officials. Unfortunately, this is the least of Truman's problems because a rogue meteor has just hit China. With 50,000 casualties, the incident causes global outrage, and other countries begin scanning the skies, making it impossible to maintain secrecy. 12 hours before takeoff, Grace bids an emotional farewell to her father and makes him promise he will return. As the crew prepares to board, the President of the United States finally addresses the nation and confirms the apocalyptic rumors. Maintaining optimism, he states that this is the first time a species on Earth has the means to prevent its own extinction. The whole world watches the speech, and a crowd cheers for the heroes on the way to the runway, ready to save everyone. Chick's son tells his mother that that salesman is on TV. Not wanting to take that moment from the boy, she explains that that great hero is his father. The two teams separate, and each enters their rocket, where everyone cracks jokes to disguise their terror. Through the communication system, Truman wishes them good luck and states that they are all already heroes. After one last thorough check, the countdown begins. Freedom is the first to launch, and then it's the Independence's turn. Everything goes well in this initial stretch until the Russian space station. When they arrive, Truman says that cosmonaut Andropov has been living there for 18 months and asks them not to be surprised by his peculiar behavior. After playing a bit with zero gravity, everyone moves to the Russian station. With a heavy accent, Andropov introduces himself, warning that this is not a gas station and informing them that he is in charge. AJ goes down with him to the fuel compartment while the rest connects the hoses. The Russian quickly gives AJ the instructions, mentioning the disasters that can happen if the pressure rises too much. Not knowing there's a leak, he leaves AJ alone, and the pressure soon exceeds the limit. AJ begins to call for help, but Andropov doesn't hear him, as he is busy showing a photo of his uncle to the Americans. Harry and Rockhound exchange glances as he talks about the talent of his whole family with explosives. No one notices AJ's desperate expression on the cameras. Only when the leak causes sparks does Andropov realize the disaster. In panic, he starts shouting that everyone must get out immediately because an explosion will happen any second. AJ is still down there, and Andropov goes to help him while the others run back to the shuttles. The others say there's no time to save AJ, but the Russian refuses to abandon him. One of the astronauts then closes the door to contain the explosion, leaving the two behind. Andropov then shows AJ an alternate path. The temperature is 100 degrees below freezing, and they must hold their breath to avoid freezing their lungs. In the shuttles, the astronauts refuse to wait for AJ, and Harry becomes furious. However, Truman can track AJ and Andropov from Houston and announces that they managed to escape from the fuel compartment. Just after the station explodes, both Houston and Freedom wait anxiously until Independence reports that everyone is aboard. Moreover, now the shuttle even has an extra passenger, which is Andropov. With 90% of the fuel, the two ships continue their journey without problems. However, the most dangerous part of the mission is next. To reach the speed of the asteroid, the ships need to circle around the moon, and there will be no communication for 11 minutes. The maneuver produces a drastic acceleration with very intense effects. Without proper psychological preparation, the heroes scream that they are going to die and plead for mercy. But everything returns to normal when the speed stabilizes and the signal returns. Now, seeing the enormous asteroid, the pilots must navigate through space debris to get there. The amount is much larger than expected, and the debris passes at high speed. Then, Independence is hit, and the pilot loses control of the ship. He tells the others to protect themselves as best as they can and warns Houston that they are going to crash into the asteroid. Bear, AJ, and Oscar put on their spacesuits and stay in the cargo compartment, hoping for a miracle. The glass panels explode upon impact, and the two pilots are thrown out. The Freedom crew watches in shock as their teammates fall, and Grace cries for the loss of her fiancé. The landing of Freedom itself is not very smooth, and Houston loses their signal too, but we see that no one is injured. Everyone is devastated by what happened, but Harry reminds them that the mission needs to be completed in 8 hours, and now it's all in the hands of this team. Rockhound helps identify the signal problem, surprising everyone with his genius. In the wreckage of Independence, we see that Oscar did not survive the impact, but AJ, Bear, and Andropov are fine. Despite this, they don't even know where they are or how to get out. Meanwhile, Harry and his team begin drilling. The surface of the asteroid is much harder than they expected, but Harry does not lose determination. Houston is in turmoil when the Freedom pilot begins to call. The signal is still very spotty, but she manages to warn that everyone is okay. Willie warns that the ship's situation is uncertain and that it may not be able to launch again. In Independence, Andropov is shocked to learn that Bear and AJ are not astronauts. However, it is AJ who rescues the trio from the rubble, using the armadillo to land roughly. The drilling continues slowly and difficultly since the ground is very resistant. They try to force as much as they can, but this just overloads the equipment and even causes an explosion. NASA also has bad news for Truman. The asteroid's rotation changed with the moon's proximity, and soon this will affect not only communication but also the ability to detonate the bomb remotely. Harry asks Willie for help with the drilling, which should have reached 60 meters by now. The Colonel gets furious when Harry says they've only made it to 15. After receiving a call from the President, General Kimsey orders Truman to evacuate everyone from the asteroid. The military arrives shortly afterward, taking over NASA's base. This is a special protocol that had been kept secret until now. With the danger of losing the signal, the bomb must be detonated right now. While Truman tries to explain that this won't help anything, we see that Willie also has access to the special protocol. Grace hears that the bomb will be detonated in 30 seconds. She revolts against the betrayal, reminding everyone that no one informed her father or the others. On the asteroid, Chick panics when he hears the ticking of the nuclear bomb counting down 6 minutes. Willie runs to get that out of the ship and says Rockhound and Max have 2 minutes to get aboard. Harry tries to warn them, but communication is bad even between them. Charging for sabotage, Truman secretly asks a staff member to cut the signal. The atmosphere in Freedom is at a boiling point, as Willie refuses to disarm the bomb. Harry threatens him with a tool, and everyone is shocked when the Colonel pulls out a gun. When the signal is cut, the bomb stops counting down, and Harry and Chick take advantage of the distraction to strike the soldiers. Chick grabs the gun and keeps an eye on the other astronaut, who is a sergeant. Arriving at the ship, Rockhound and Max are confused by the chaotic scene. To make matters worse, Kimsey discovers the plot and restores the signal. The bomb is reactivated and the countdown is down to just 1 minute. Harry begs Willie to give him a chance to make things right, vowing that he will reach 200 meters in time. There are only 40 seconds remaining when Willie agrees to disarm the bomb. The process is not very simple, and the final step is to cut one of the wires. The sergeant asks if it is the blue or red one. Willie responds that it is the red, but hesitates and chooses the blue. Fortunately, it is indeed the blue, and the clock stops with less than 3 seconds left. At the same time, NASA technicians manage to use foreign satellites to restore communications, making the special protocol lose effect. Harry sends a rude message to Houston and tells them to stop interfering with his work. AJ is still lost in the asteroid with Bear and Andropov. Upon reaching a cliff, they try to make the armadillo float to the other side. The plan works, but then the vehicle starts rising too much, and no one knows how to bring it back down. Andropov leaves the armadillo to resolve the situation and is nearly hit by debris. He manages to lower the altitude enough to land back, saying it had to be a Russian to save those 2 Americans. The drilling is now much more advanced, but then the bit unexpectedly hits a gas pocket. The armadillo explodes, taking Max with it and preventing the drilling from continuing. Harry loses hope, and Willie informs NASA that the mission has failed. The news spreads sadness all over the world, and reporters end their broadcasts to be with their families. To make matters worse, another meteor hits Earth, this time devastating Paris. Truman gives up and agrees to adhere to the special protocol, but Grace attacks him in anger, reminding him that he dragged her father into this mission. She doesn't know that Harry is jumping for joy at that moment. This is because AJ has just arrived with an armadillo ready to continue drilling. Willie announces this turnaround to NASA with great satisfaction. However, 80 meters are still needed, and the deadline is now 1 hour. As Rockhound has been showing signs of mental disturbance, he is tied up so he doesn't interfere. Just a few meters from the goal, the bit hits more gas. The same simulation problem is repeating in real life, and AJ insists on continuing while the others fear an explosion. This time, Harry decides to trust him. AJ successfully completes the drilling, and everyone celebrates. The asteroid will pass the zero barrier in 40 minutes. That is the time they have to insert the bomb, get out of there, and detonate it. AJ descends through the hole to remove a pipe that got stuck, and Harry grows worried when he feels a tremor. All around them, several eruptions begin simultaneously, violently releasing parts of the rock formations. AJ manages to clear the cavity, but a jet of gas sends him flying. Harry rushes to grab the rope and pulls AJ back before something hits him. The asteroid is becoming increasingly unstable, and even the equipment starts to collapse. A piece hits the sergeant, who does not survive the impact. Harry and Chick narrowly escape from a huge rock passing close by. When the atmosphere finally settles, they discover that the storm has damaged the detonator. The bomb is still intact, but there's no way to detonate it remotely. This means someone will have to stay behind. Harry volunteers, but Andropov rejects the idea, as he does not want to return to Russia as a coward. It is then decided that they will draw lots. AJ ends up being the chosen one, and Willie begins to explain the procedure. Harry goes along with him, and everyone says their goodbyes, mournfully. As AJ exits the ship, he starts a message to Grace when Harry releases his oxygen tube and pushes him back inside, ignoring his protests. While the crew hastens to leave the asteroid, Truman allows Harry to speak with his daughter. In an emotional farewell, he tells Grace that he loves her very much and that he approves of her marriage to AJ. Now freedom is not taking off, and the pilot can't find the problem. Andropov decides to intervene, hammering the controls until they start working again. After the ship takes off, another storm hits the asteroid, throwing Harry away from the bomb. As Freedom passes the danger zone, everyone waits for the explosion and begins to worry about the delay. 1 minute from the zero barrier, Willie even considers turning back. But Harry presses the button in the last milliseconds, and the whole world watches the explosion. The asteroid splits in two, and the mission is a success. AJ and Grace's reunion is emotional, and the two do indeed get married sometime later.